A Delicate Dance, Chapter 6. The next day, back on the Titanic, you sit with Adele in your parlor, but despite the open book in your lap, all you can think of is... I'm going to keep seeing Theo, but I have to make some effort for my family. No, because they never made effort for you. You glance in your sister's direction, a small frisson of worry and excitement running through you. For however long it lasts, our connection has to be a secret. The words swim on the page in front of you. Restless, you snap the book shut on your lap. Everything all right, Violet? Perhaps we should take a stroll on the decks. It would, give us a chance to stretch our legs. But to your dismay, she doesn't even look up from her book. In this weather, you can't be serious. Besides, you need to rest up for your excursion ashore. At this rate, no matter what Theo and I want, maybe days before we're in the same place again. You're just beginning to despair when a knock sounds at the door. You and Adele sit up straighter, looking at each other in surprise. Who could that be? Your pulse speeds with excitement. You leap up from the sofa and hurry over to open the door. What if it's... Hello, Violet. Mr. Coleridge, how lovely to see you again. Adele bustles over to join you at the door, obviously more optimistic about your prospects with the baseball player than you feel. Please call me Terry. I hope it's not too much trouble, but I was wondering if I could speak with Violet privately. You were? Oh, yes, of course. Please take the sitting room. I have some letters that need my attention anyway. Adele shoots you an encouraging smile and hurries into her bedroom, leaving you and Terry alone. Terry, I didn't expect to see you again. Then, I hope I'm not intruding too much. I was hoping to speak to you about a delicate matter. Let me guess, it's about your sister Adele, and he's got a crush on her. His expression suddenly grows serious. You feel a small flutter of worry. During our game, I couldn't help noticing that your attentions weren't on any of your suitors, myself included. In fact, it seemed like someone else had caught your eye, someone I don't think your family would approve of. He gives you a knowing look, and your stomach drops. He must have noticed the way I looked at Theo. You eye him warily, motioning for him to sit down. He does, his tall, athletic frame looking out of place on the dainty sofa. If that were true, I'm not sure how it's any of your business. You've got me there. It is none of my business, but the thing is, I don't have any interest in courting. I stopped to sneeze from you guys hearing it, okay? Any interest in courting you either. So, we could amicably part ways, or maybe we could help each other out. How so? There's a dance in one of the lounge halls tonight. If you come as my date, it'd give us both cover to see other people. I'm not opposed to the idea, but why would you need secrecy? Surely you could see any woman you wish to... Terry shakes his head, he squares his shoulders as if steeling himself for something, and gives you a long, careful look before he goes on. I could, but I'm also interested in someone my family would not approve of, or society, if we're being honest. Ah, I see. It's not your sister. I see. I hope I haven't. That is, I hope you'll keep that between us. Feeling a surge of sympathy, you reach out and take his hand. Your secret is safe with me, and for what it's worth, you deserve to dance with whomever you'd like. We both do. He smiles as if you've been lifted, some invisible weight from his shoulders. Most people on this ship wouldn't see it that way, but I'm very glad you do. When then it's settled, you'll join me tonight. Of course. It'll be like something out of a spy novel. Perhaps we should think of code names for one another. I could be Falcon, you could be Hawk. In my experience, discretion is more helpful in these sorts of arrangements, but I like the enthusiasm. Noted. I promise it'll be a good time. A Cosette Belle will be singing tonight with a live band backing her. A live band. I wonder if they could use an extra fiddle player. Then I could attend the dance with a proper suitor and still see Theo. Terry, if I wrote a note for someone on the lower decks, would you be willing to deliver it? Of course. Consider it a gesture of good faith towards our new alliance. That evening, you and you alone joined Terry in the crowded lounge hall. Just you tonight, is it? I figured your sister would want to tag along. So did I, but she said she trusted me to handle myself discreetly. You feel a small twinge of guilt, even as your heart lifts at the thought of an evening unsupervised. Oh, well, we'll both be very discreet with our, friends. It'll be easier without a chaperone hovering over your shoulder. And it looks like half the ship is here already. At least the ones with good taste. I can't wait to see Cosette perform. And hopefully Theo as well. You scan the stage, looking for a familiar stoker, but before you can spot him, another couple walks up to you and Terry. Mr. Coleridge, hello. How handsome you look tonight, and with such a lovely young lady on your arm. Evening, ma'am. That's very kind. You smile, sliding your arm through Terry's as he makes introductions. The woman leans in, dropping your voice to a not-so-quiet whisper. Mr. Coleridge is such a fetching young man, don't you think? It's so tall. He certainly has his charms. We're a surprisingly good match. We get along so well, and we want all the same things. Terry hides a knowing smile as the woman laughs and nods. I just hope he's as good a dancer as he is a ball player. Hey now, no one's paying me to dance, so don't expect too much. After a few minutes of friendly conversation, the couple moves on. You murmur to Terry as you mingle with other guests in the crowd. This isn't your first time doing this, is it? Attending parties with a cover story? I've done it once or twice before, although I have to say this is the most fun I've ever had. I'll take that as a compliment about my acting. The stage curtains part, revealing Cosette Belle with her very own band. Welcome, everyone. We've got a few fun numbers for you tonight. As you and Terry head to the front of the dance floor, you spot Theo among the band, holding his fiddle. He made it. He must have gotten my note. From his place on the stage, Theo catches your eye and winks. Your pulse quickens as he begins to play alongside the band. I look up at the stars, but they don't shine as bright as you. There's a longing in his eyes that echoes every word the singer croons, even while he begins to banter with the crowd. That's it, folks. Move on. The 2s and 4s. Theo plays perfectly while the couples around you begin to dance, his bow practically flying across the strings of his fiddle. I'll show off my ankles for him, sway my hips to his music. Terry holds out a hand, and with a pretense of your date, you begin to dance. But you do a seductive sway in the motion of your hips, earning a soft gasp from him that you hear even across the dance floor. Trying to impress someone, are you? You grin at Terry and catch a man smiling at him across the dance floor. I'm not the only one with someone to impress. Perhaps we should both catch up with our friends for a while. That sounds like a heck of a plan, Violet. While you head towards the stage, and Theo, letting your body move to the music, he heads towards the man who caught his eye. Will, what a handsome evening jacket you have on tonight. Oh, this old thing, why, I've had it for years. I know, I gave it to you. Smiling to yourself, you get up beside the stage. The moment the song ends and the band takes a quick breather, you quietly call up to Theo. Theo, you came. Of course, I couldn't miss a chance to see you. And I didn't realize how talented you were with that fiddle. It was as if the instrument came alive in your hands. He flexes his fingers along the neck of the fiddle, grinning, and the sure motion of his hands makes you feel surprisingly flushed. It's not hard if you've had the right practice. But especially since you're the reason I'm up here, I'm glad you enjoyed the view. Alright, enough chit-chat, everyone. Let's give our beautiful audience another number, shall we? Sorry, that's my cue. You long to reach for him, but as the next set begins, you settle for lingering by the stage. I probably should try to look like a proper lady at a dance and not a woman swooning over her sweetheart. But it's not easy. Terry and Will dance nearby, looking nearly as wistful as you feel. Fine night, isn't it? They're close, but not quite dancing together, as if they just happen to be in each other's vicinity. They must mean a lot to each other. It's a shame none of us can dance with those we want without drawing too much attention. But as Cosette croons another sultry ballad, summoning images of Theo's body pressed close to yours on the dance floor, an idea strikes. If the band played a group number, they could give everyone a cover to dance with anyone, even me and Theo. Pushing your way closer to the stage, you wait for the song to end before beckoning Theo over and whispering to him. I was hoping to get your help with a little plan of mine. I usually like your plans. What can I do? Do you know a good dance song that a band can play, or one for a larger group? He gives you a knowing look, lips curving into an enticing grin. I know just the thing, and it doesn't have much of a string part either. Then that sounds perfect. A thrill of excitement washes over you as Theo turns back to the stage, whispering quickly to the rest of the band. What a fine idea! Let's give them something to really dance to. The crowd cheers as the band strikes up a merry reel. Soon the dance floor is crowded with guests excited to take part in the big group dance. How lively. Come on, Terry, it's all part of the fun. He smiles. Will takes Terry by the hands. In the chaos of the dance, with everyone changing partners left and right, they're able to dance together freely. Up on stage, Theo watches your movements as he plays. His fingers dance across the fiddle strings, but his attention is all on you. I ought to put on more of a show, then. I'll dance wildly, elegantly, wildly. Throwing inhibition to the wind, you pick up your skirts, flashing a truly daring amount of ankle to the crowd. Laughing with delight, you whirl across the floor, letting yourself go for the first time in years. I don't remember the last time I felt so free. As you pass the stage, your skirts swinging merrily behind you, Theo's lips curve into an appreciative smile, his eyes dancing with interest. I wonder if it's the twirling that makes me dizzy or the look in his eyes. Theo wraps up a wild fiddle solo with the floor as she turns to the other musicians. All right, lads, if you'll excuse me, I think you can handle the rest of this one on your own. He sets his fiddle down and leaps off the stage to join you, to cheers from Cosette and the band. Show our audience how to have a good time, Mr. Carter. You can't help laughing in pleasure as he sweeps into a low, exaggerated bow. May I have this dance, my lady? Of course. Theo drops one hand to your waist, leading you into the steps of the reel. You allow yourself to be swept up in the excitement of the dance, his touch filling you with a warmth that spreads from head to toe. Do all first-class girls have such impressive moves? Wouldn't you like to know, but you're not so bad yourself, Mr. Carter. You grin up at him, slightly breathless, laughing. Theo tightens his grip on your waist, twirling you across the floor. Just trying not to step on your feet. Catch a glimpse of Terry and Will through the crowd, their faces alight with happiness. It's so crowded that no one is even paying attention to them or to me and Theo. I'll press my hips against his. Taking advantage of the chaos surrounding you, you step forward, pressing your body against Theo's. His eyes widen in surprise as you rock against him, your hips flush for just a moment. Theo's gaze darkens, tightening his grip. He peers down at you, his eyes burning with heat. I think you might have the steps wrong. Are you sure? Because they feel just right to me. You press yourself flush to him again and feel a hardening through his trousers that makes you ache to touch him. My mistake. I don't know about you, Violet, but this might be my new favorite song. As the song begins to wind down, you spot Terry and Will sharing a similarly affectionate glance at one another. Terry. But they're still just holding hands as if afraid to get any closer. If only there was a way to let them share a private moment together. Everything all right? Yes, I just would like to help a friend. Maybe with a little distraction. Theo, let's lead the others into a jig. You turn to the nearest neighbor on the dance floor, impulsively grabbing their hand. Come on, follow me. Quickly catching on, Theo takes the hand of a merry-looking woman next to him. You heard the lady. This dance isn't over yet. Let's all make the most of it. Oh, well, if you all insist. You meet Terry's eye as you draw the nearest dancer's attention away from him, and Will, he softly mouths his gratitude as you pass. Thank you, Violet. While you spin between guests and brief heated moments where Theo catches you in his arms, Terry leads Will to the edge of the dance floor. For just an instant, when he's sure that no one's looking, he presses a quick kiss to Will's cheek. Good for them. Once the lively song draws to a close, the audience bursts into appreciative applause. Theo snags another musician by the arm. Mind covering this next song while I get a drink? All this dancing is making me hotter than working in the boiler room. Sure thing. Despite Theo's claim, you notice he hasn't even broken a sweat as he crosses the room towards you, his stride smooth and powerful. Care to join me, miss? Why, thank you. A cool drink sounds wonderful. At the edge of the dance floor, Theo glances around, and with no Adele inside, he takes the opportunity to squeeze your hand. Not that I'm complaining, but how are you, even here? I thought your sister would have been hovering over you. Well, my new friend Terry had a brilliant idea. You fill him in on Terry's plan for the night, keeping the knowledge of Will to yourself, and Theo's eyes light up. He brushes a thumb over your knuckles, the touch a little more intimate, more daring. So, I have you all to myself, then. For now, so we'd best make the most of it. You've read my mind. He twines his fingers through yours, the brush of his calloused hands, both gentle and somehow intoxicating. You feel your cheeks flush with heat as Theo smiles a quiet, knowing smile that just for you, and tugs you towards the dance floor. If you've got room left on your dance card, I'd love to dance this one with you. As you reach the dance floor, one or two guests shoot curious looks at you. It seems Mr. Coleridge is neglecting his date. We'll have to be careful. Of course. He waits until you're both completely lost among the other couples, moving to the music before gently resting one hand on your waist. You sway together, keeping an eye on the crowd around you, but thrilled by the illicit contact. So how is playing with Cosette? Amazing. If you hadn't told me about the performance, I never would have known about it, or had the guts to join them either. His fingers trace small circles on your waist, warming you and sending a hot swirl of desire through your body all at once. Thank you, Violet, seriously. Thank you for playing such lovely music. Just promise to fill me in on all the band gossip, and we'll be even. His lips quirk into a smile that makes you flush just as the song comes to an end. Another glance from a passing dancer reminds you to step apart just as Cosette raises her voice to address the crowd. All right, I need a break to rest this golden instrument. We'll be back in just a shake of a lamb's tail. There's applause as the band flies off stage. For a break, Theo watches them go, suddenly looking thoughtful. Instead of telling you about the band, why don't I introduce you to them? Before you even have time to feel nervous, Theo takes you by the hand and leads you behind the stage to a cozy but elegant dressing room. Look alive, everyone. I've brought a fan back to say her hellos. Cosette and the other musicians turn you with warm smiles. Up close, the famous singer is even more beautiful than on stage. Theo! Then who is this delightful number? This is Violet. She's the one who told me about the performance tonight. Any friend of Theo's is a friend of ours, especially one who sent us such an amazing fiddler our way. You're all too kind. I never imagined I'd be able to meet such talented musicians. And I never imagined I'd be able to play with them. 8-year-old Theo wouldn't believe his luck. You've played the fiddle since you were 8. Believe it or not, I actually wanted to play the tuba, but it turned out the damn thing was too heavy for me to lift. The shop owner got me to try the fiddle instead, and I never looked back. You must be very good with your hands, after all those years of practice. He flexes one hand, smiling at the compliment, but there's much more than mere pleasure in his eyes when he meets your gaze. Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. Laughing, Cosette rises from her chair, flouncing her elegant skirts about her ankles. It's been lovely to meet you, Violet, but I'm afraid we must be off. The muse, she beckons. Or in other words, you still have to finish your set. As Cosette and the other musicians file out, you move to follow, but Theo takes your hand, his fingertips lightly grazing your bare skin. Don't you need to get back on the stage too? Not until the last song. I was thinking we could listen to this one from back here. He slowly trails his fingers upward, brushing the leaping pulse point in your wrist and leaving a flush of heat in his wake. Just the two of us. Enjoy the privacy with Theo. You give Theo your coyest smile, rewarded by the eager grin that spreads over his features. If we really have the room on ourselves, it would be a shame to waste it. Through the thin walls of the dressing room, you hear the opening strains of a sultry romantic song coming from the stage. Glad you agree. There are a lot of perks to being in the band. Theo lowers his head to yours, pulling you flush against his body as he kisses you with a dizzying passion. Like having you alone to do this. Reaching up, you twine your hand behind his head as Theo nips at your lower lip. Oh. He soothes the brief sting with his tongue, which only heightens the sensation. You press your hips closer against Theo's, your body shifting instinctively to the rhythm of the music. Violet. You forget all about all the crowded dance floor outside as Theo's hands trace teasing circles against your waist. As Cosette croons on stage about love and longing, it feels as though she's singing just for the two of you. You remember the feeling of his hands on your bare skin in the cottage, the desire burning within you like never before, and the memory makes you bold. You kiss your way across his jawline, occasionally pausing to flick your tongue against his throat. He tastes intoxicating and perfect. Driven by a need to feel more of him, you scrape your teeth against the sensitive skin of his earlobe, reveling in the way he shudders beneath your mouth. Ah, that feels... It's alright. Alright, oh Violet, the things you make me want to do to you. Growls low in his throat, his hands tightening around your waist. You gasp as he pulls you sharply against his hips. But just as Theo lowers his head to your bare throat, you suddenly hear movement just outside the dressing room door. What was that? Shh. You would freeze as footsteps approach the door, then, mercifully, keep walking. Now, where'd I leave that spare pick? Your heart hammers in your chest as the footsteps fade, and as Theo finally presses that kiss to your throat, lips brushing sensitive skin. Good thing he didn't decide to come inside. That was too close for comfort. Heart still thudding in your chest, you turn back to Theo's eyes are bright with excitement, his chest rising and falling rapidly. At the sight of his obvious arousal, he pulses between your legs. Maybe we should find somewhere a bit more private. Gathering you in his arms, Theo slides his hands over the curves of your hips, pulling you snug against him. He presses himself against you, and the wetness floods between your legs in response. I know just the place. I'd hate to be interrupted for this next part. And yet, because of YouTube, looking almost as flush as you feel, Theo leads you to the backstage space concealed by heavy curtains. You can hear the music more clearly from here, and between the grand piano and the stage decor, you're surrounded by bric-a-brac. Good enough? His eyes flashing with heat, Theo deliberately backs you against the piano, his arms frame your waist as he leans down for another hungry kiss. His tongue laves inside your mouth as his hands reach down to begin hiking your skirts up your thighs. You hear the music still outside, the band mere dozens of feet away, but that knowledge only sends another surge of need through you, pooling the spot where you crave his touch most. Your heart pounds in your chest as Theo suddenly drops to his knees in front of you, hands brushing the newly bared skin of your thighs. Do you know how long I've wanted to do this? To do what? Theo smiles in an answer, and that curve of his lips sets your pulse racing even harder. To taste you. You gasp in surprise as he bends low, slowly kissing his way up your bare thighs as music swells from beyond the curtains. The piano at your back, only thing that keeps your knees from giving away as the ache in your center redoubles, anticipating his touch. Yep. That was a mouthful. Haha. Anyway. You know how it is, because YouTube. Just as the song outside comes to an end, Cosette's voice filters through the curtains. Give us a quick breather, and we'll play you one last song for the road. Your head is spinning, your center throbbing with need as Theo reluctantly pulls away. He smooths your skirts back over your trembling thighs. Things are about to get busier back here. I'm sorry we didn't get to finish what we started. It takes a moment to steady your voice. He stands, one hand resting on your waist, and even that sends another throb between your thighs. It's alright, but that was... I'm glad, and don't worry, Violet. He presses a final soft kiss to your lips. You can taste a faint tang to them, your own taste, and the memory of how that came to be on his lips sets your hot head spinning all over again. I'll make it up to you another time, I swear. Soon rather than later, I hope. You know I could never stay away from you for too long. You share one last smile with him and then head back onto the dance floor. When the dance concludes, you rejoin Terry, who politely walks you back to your quarters. I hope you had a good time tonight. It was better than good, it was perfect. I'm glad. If you're willing, I'd love to take you to the first-class pool tomorrow. We could keep up the ruse, consider it another date. You remember the freedom you felt with Theo tonight, away from Adele's watchful gaze, and answering is easy. Of course, you have no idea how much this arrangement means to me. About as much as it means to me, I think. Then good night, Violet. I'll see you tomorrow. As you let yourself back into your sitting room, you find an eager Adele waiting up for you. Well, how was it? You remember Theo's warm lips pressed to yours, the feeling of them pressed lower, his mouth working. It was, uneventful. The dance wasn't terribly exciting, but Terry was a perfect gentleman. In fact, he invited me to join him at the ship's pool tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow would be perfect. Philippa and a new suitor have asked to visit the pool with you tomorrow as well. Adele beams happily, and you force yourself to summon a weak smile, even as your heart sinks. Philippa and a new suitor, how on earth am I going to get through that? You will, because that's life. Woe is me. Without further ado, and before I have to say what I need to say... Stretchy. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down the description below. Plenty of things to check out there, and ways to support this channel, and also become more of an intricate part of this community. With that being said, even today, right, it is 2023 going into 2024. People are still condemned for their love. Not as badly, but it's still a thing. I remember back when I was in high school, we had a thing about that. and I had known a few people, especially because in the town that was next to ours was very, I guess you would call it hippie, but also kind of like ahead of its time. I mean, it's a really cool place, but TLDR, they believe in they've got giant parks and foresty areas and nature trails and a lot of amazing places. And they believed, like some people would believe in, witchcraft, and then there'd be fairies, and it just had a real energy that, as a sensitive person, I had never felt in my entire life. And so, exploring that as a younger individual, even before high school, um, it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then basically, I had my mind open as a young man, long before everyone got their rights, and that I believe that anyone and everyone should have the right to love whoever they want, right? As long as they are above the age of consent, let's put it that way. I always have to make that clear, because there are people who love to take advantage of that and say, well, then, I don't know, sorry, you have to wait for a person to become, an adult. Anyway, um, with that being said, I stood up for people in my high school, and we were allowed to basically crown whoever we wanted king and queen. And I was glad for that change in my high school. Um, because back then, things were a lot different. And I'm glad to have always stood by the community, even though I am technically not a part of it, though I have not really explored myself or found myself, because I'm so busy trying to be there for everybody else. But I have always believed, whether, you agree with what I'm saying right now or not, right? There are some religions that dictate that blah, 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 it's bad. You know what? Hey, how about this? This is how I've always treated it. If that's the case, as a person who's experienced love and lost it, it's not for us to judge, and I'll quote religion actually, judge not lest ye be judged. Um, let people love the person they want to love. And if it's not meant to be, and it's not good, that's not for us to judge, right? This is the mortal coil. And I think good deeds far outweigh anything else. And yeah, that's how I feel. So even if you believe otherwise, even if your, aspects and everything else that has taught you say, no, it's bad, again, that's not for you to judge, right? Just let people do whatever they want in the confines of their own home. That's about it. Thanks again for watching. Love your beautiful faces, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.